Good morning. It is, what is today? Today is Wednesday. I am right, October 6th. How are you folks doing today? I am doing great. It's early morning here. I'm currently in Louisiana. I wanted to come to you and record a video today on something that is a very integral part of what I do. And that integral part is called the natural you. The natural you is an interesting thing. It's something that I thought a lot about trying to put into words to explain to people. And I've done some research and looked online and found natural you this and natural you that, but it really had not captured exactly what I'm saying or how I'm using the term. So if you will indulge me for a moment, I will explain the natural you. The natural you is you. It's you that you are who you are and you do what you do. And what I explain to people is that many times we don't really know our natural self, meaning that the things that we do, the habits that we have, the way that we perceive things, the way that we react to things, people, events, conflict, love, we don't really pay attention to it. We just are. Now, sometimes the natural you has conflicts, and you may be thinking in your conscious mind that you want to be a certain way or to be looked at a certain way or react, or you think that you're reacting in a certain way, when in reality, when you're from the outside looking in, that's not how things are at all. It's much like when we look in the mirror and we see either just the good things or just the bad things, because that's what we focus on. So what I try to do is I try to put people in front of their own mirror to reflect on themselves, to understand the natural you, their natural self. And so many times that we want to make changes to ourselves. We want to grow. We want to let go of fears. We want to let go of angers. We don't understand why the anxieties and depressions that we have, which I really do not like using those terms because I think they're a bunch of bullshit. But that's a whole different video. But many times when we get to the point to where we have no choice, you've been to the doctors, you've taken their pills, you may have been in therapy for God knows how long. That hasn't happened. Traditional therapy. You go in, you sit down, you talk, you leave, you feel worse than you are, and it's like, okay, what did that accomplish? Because see, nothing is going to change until you change the natural you. And in order to change that natural you, you have to do some reprogramming up in the subconscious mind, in between the 6 inches here, the ears, because that's where it all starts. You can say that you are a good artist, and you can take pencil to paper and you can draw whatever the case may be, and you may look at it and say, hey, that's pretty good, but you've not had any formal training. So how do you really know what your potential is unless you embark on that formal training? And sure, there's people who are naturally gifted in areas, but that doesn't mean that they shouldn't continue to train themselves to get other perspectives, to get other techniques, and so on and so forth. But until they realize that, then they'll stay exactly where they're at. And that's what I mean by the natural you. In order to make the changes that people so many times want in their life, they have to change that natural you. You have to reprogram the subconscious mind to look at and reflect on who you are and what you want out of yourself. And when you do that, things in life will in fact change. Your relationships will change. The way that you view people and how you understand people will change. But that's only if you work at the change, allow these things to change. If a person would spend the time with a hypnotist, with the dedication and the time required that they do in taking their pills or going to any other therapist, then they would realize amazing things. But many times people will experience hypnosis maybe once, twice, maybe 3 times, and they'll want instant gratification, which is fine, but it takes time. And when I say time, I'm not talking months or years, I'm talking days and weeks. So let's just assume that it takes 3 weeks. Let's push it out and say 6 weeks in the scope of things. Of all you've ever been through in the past and all the stuff that you're dragging with you and the feelings that you have and the changes that you want to make in your life, it takes 6 weeks. Not months, not years, but 6 weeks. And you dedicate to yourself within that 6 weeks to do exactly what your hypnotist asks you to do, the plan that they set for you. And look, there's differences in hypnotists and their approach and things, and that's a given. It's just like anything else. Why would you go to this person versus go to that person? Maybe your connection, your rapport, your belief. I don't know. But your hypnotist, when they get in front of you, their job is to explain things in a way that they get your buy-in. Because if they don't get your buy-in, if they don't convince you, then you're not going to accomplish what you want to accomplish. Unlike a pill where you can just take a pill, a sip of water and swallow it and then just forget it. You don't have to have buy-in. Although to a degree you do when you take pills. But most pills don't work as the way they're supposed to. They don't have the effect. And when they do, then after a period of time, you have to increase the dosage to get the same result. That's the problem with stimulants. If you're drinking to get the buzz, to get this, or whatever the case may be, or if you're taking drugs to escape, it takes more and more, a little bit more and more, and going to the extreme to get the same effect over a period of time, because the body is really an amazing thing. It has the ability to acclimate itself, to regulate itself, to protect itself. So we have to be cautious in the way that we approach things and what we do to our bodies and ourselves. If you've ever heard the term of, become, the new you, become the new you, the latest diet, exercise craze, or motivational seminar, that's all well and good, but unless you change this, it's all for naught. It's not going to work. I've been to not many seminars, a bunch of seminars. I would be, I don't even want to think about the money I've spent on seminars. And you name the seminar, probably attended it. I bought the books, the recordings, the tapes way back then, and the CDs. And they're all good. They all have messages and certain things in there. There's nuggets with each and every one. And you walk out of whatever seminar that you are in, that you're feeling excited and motivated, inspired, and this, and everything's wrapped up and your mind is racing about what you can do and dot. And maybe the next day you implement some of those things, or you read the book and this, and you want to change and you want to grow and this, and the next day you have a few things. And after about the 4th day, things start winding down, and the natural you has rejected what you're attempting to do because you haven't approached it correctly. And then within a week, you're back to who you are in the seminars in the past. The book is on the shelf collecting dust. Maybe one of them's still stuck in the recorder or the player. And then you're back to your natural you. But you went to the seminar to make changes. You went to the seminar to grow, to get inspired, to make impact on your life, that for something that you feel that you didn't have, to learn that one thing that was maybe going to make you a success, and it's all for naught. You see, all the seminars in the world will do you absolutely no good unless you change the 6 inches up here, unless you change the natural you. Once you change the natural you, and you put in the things that you want to be and have the subconscious mind accept those things, then you will in fact change. It's an impossibility not to. You can't help but change. Now, you can resist the change, even undergoing hypnosis, to where as you've done hypnosis, subconscious mind is saying, hey, I've got some new things here, and we're going here, and this is what you want. This is what we're doing now. And consciously, for whatever reason, you've had a relapse. And even though you may be thinking, yeah, that's where I want to do, consciously you're pulling the subconscious mind back into that box. And you browbeat the subconscious mind back into submission to go back to the old ways. You can do that. That's not failure. That's just you not wanting to pursue or go forward. But for the most part, when I work with a client, what I do is I screen them in such a way that I don't work with individuals who are not committed to that change and want to go forward. Sometimes they'll slip through, or something will happen. Fears will creep in or something, and then they stop. Okay, they don't just not do it, they just stop, they disappear. And those are the very people that should continue to work with me. But as long as you go through the process and as long as you go through the plan, you will experience change. And you shouldn't question the price, the process. Just do, follow instructions. When I was teaching martial arts, people would come in, new students, and there was a plan of introducing them to the training and process and learning the foundation, the stance, the movement, the body weight, the distribution of weight, and this, and all of these things. You start from the bottom and you go up. And it's a process. And martial arts is a great example because people come there because they want to be there. But within the 30 days, people will make a determination or a decision as to whether they're willing to pay the price for the prize. And the prize is incremental successes, meaning the belts, going through the belts. If they're willing to pay the price of consistency, sweat, pain, determination, being put back on their heels, if you will, and those of you may know what that means and some of you don't, then that's fine. But within 30 days, most people who are not willing to do that will simply quit. And then from the 30 days to about 90 to 120 days, from my experience, is that spot where people may still not be sure or that, and they go up and down, and maybe they come to class 3 times, 4 times, 5 times a week, and then all of a sudden they're down to 2 times and then 1 time, and then they quit and they fade off. But if a person can get past that 90 days, that 120 days, then chances are they're going to be there for an extended period of time. Now, understand that the reason that people go to class is they want to learn self-defense, or they want to learn how to protect themselves, or they want to become a black belt, or whatever the case, whatever their motivation is. But more times than not, why they're there will change over a period of time, and where they realize certain things, because the martial arts has a wonderful way of forcing a person to look at themselves, because it's not a team sport. It's not a sport, although it's been turned, certain aspects of it have been turned into a sport, but it's not a sport. It's a way of life. It's a way of thinking. It's understanding. It goes much deeper than that. Now, if you want to take it off onto a certain area, then that's fine. But I used to tell my students that martial arts is learning to do unnatural things naturally. It's learning to take the tendencies of what we are, the fight, flight, or fear mechanism, and learning to control that. Learning to be calm when everybody else is freaking out. One of the hardest things to teach in combat sports or combat or martial arts or boxing, okay? One of the hardest things to teach is for people to learn to keep their eyes open, because that is a natural tendency. That's something that's built into us, that in times of conflict, of times of combat, just like many animals, they close their eyes to protect them. And we have the ability to shut down tight on our eyes to not where they're waterproof. But if you're learning to defend yourself or learning to fight, or then probably keeping your eyes open is a good idea. And that's what the natural you is. That's learning, that's changing the natural you, learning how to take those unnatural things or those ingrained things, the things that you've been programmed with over the course of since you were born, the programming starts, and changing those things to what you want, to where you've reflected on yourself and said, yeah, I need to make some changes here. These are my weaknesses. This is what I need to do. So anyway, that is the natural you, and that's how you can change it. I hope I explained that to a point to where you can understand it. And I would encourage you that if you have questions to email me, and I would be happy to expound on it even more. It's an integral part of what I do with people because it's that important. So anyway, everybody have a wonderful day. Have a blessed day. May you be profitable in anything that you do. And may love shine on every aspect of your life. Bye.